Hey everyone, so it's Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. That means it's time for another Choose Your Own Adventure. Tonight we're going to be doing Journey to the Year 3000 by Edward Packard. And this is not just a normal Choose Your Own Adventure. No, it's actually a super adventure. So with a super adventure, you get bigger adventure, more challenging choices, more thrilling dangers. Also, big money and big prizes. I love it. Yeah, so apparently we're in the year 3000. There's this dude. He's probably the evil guy. He's wearing some gold chains um, on his wrist and around his neck. There's some giant mutant spider ants, perhaps. There's a spaceship. Jupiter figures into it somehow. Um, This might be you, possibly the main character. I'm not sure. And there's some other people here. They're in the desert or something like that. I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah, we'll read the back cover as we normally do. Oh, and this Choose Your Own Adventure does not have a number because it's part of the Super Adventure series. I'm not sure which Super Adventure it is. I can double check that one. Anyways, yeah, let's take a look at the back cover. You're on a super adventure in a terrifying new world. January 14th, 3000. You've been hibernating in a space capsule for 1,000 years. Now you're awake and ready to return to the Earth of the future, but your computer has horrifying news to report. An evil tyrant named Styx Mori has proclaimed himself Supreme Emperor of Earth. He has agents everywhere, even on other planets. And no matter where you land, you face capture, and even death. What should you do? If you decide to land on Mars, turn to page 00. If you decide to land on Venus, turn to page 00. If you decide to land on Earth, turn to page 00. If you choose to go back into hibernation, turn to page 00. That doesn't sound right. Okay. I think someone made a mistake here. Well, all your choices just take you to page 00. You're pitted against the most ruthless You're pitted against the most ruthless tyrant the universe has ever known, and the odds against you are 256,000 to 1. I'll say if all the choices take you to page 00. What happens next? Only you can find out. How will the story end? It all depends on the choices you make. And in this first adventure in this brand new series, you can make more exciting choices than ever before. Be sure to watch for the next Be sure to watch for the next super adventure. Page 00. It's just everything's page 00. All right. Sweet. All right then. It's originally sold for $3.50. Oh, but kids can't stop reading the Choose Your Own Adventure stories and also the Super Adventure stories as well. And teachers like the series too. And here we are, coming out of our space capsule, or some kind of capsule. It's illustrated by Leslie Morrill. There's also Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. I wonder if those would be fun. I'm reading this as 00 is just two huge eyes. Could be. Could just be huge eyes. Alright. March, and this was originally published March 1987. Oh, the cover illustration is by Lino Safiati, and the interior illustrations are by Leslie Morrill. All right. Here's a short note from Edward Packard. Dear reader, I think you'll agree with me, after reading it, that Journey to the Year 3000 is a super adventure. Not only is it a good deal bigger than a regular Choose Your Own Adventure book, but I believe you'll find it to be one of the most exciting and dangerous adventures you've ever had. You will find yourself pitted against Styx Mori, the greatest tyrant Earth Earth has ever known. The odds against you are enormous. If you trust to luck, your chances of overcoming Styx, Mori, and saving Earth are only 1 in 256,000. I wonder how he calculated that. Okay. But with skill, daring, and determination, and intelligence, you can succeed. I'm betting you'll enjoy this book, and I wish you much good luck and good fun. Signed by Edward Packard. Hi, Sue. Oh, yes. Hi, Caroline. All right, and that might be our capsule that we're hibernating in, hibernation capsule, possibly. Warning: do not read this book straight through from beginning to end. These pages contain many different adventures you may have as you journey to the year 3000. From time to time, as you read along, you will be asked to make decisions and choices. Your choices may lead to success or disaster. Your adventures are the result of your choices. You are responsible because you choose. After you make your choice, follow the instructions to see what happens next. Think carefully before you make a move. In the year 3000, the most abhorrent tyrant in history rules the solar system. Only you can vanquish him. All right. Would you like to take a trip to the year 3000? The person who asks you this question is not just one of your teachers or friends, but your next-door neighbor, Dr. Irene Grambling. She happens to be a very brilliant scientist who works on secret government projects. Why not, you say with a smile. I'm serious, Dr. Grambling answers. She's a large, slightly plump woman who looks friendly when she's smiling and very stern when she's not. When she says she's serious, she means it. Your eyes widen. Do you mean you have a time machine? Not quite, Dr. Grambling says. It will be several hundred years before we can invent anything that sophisticated. I have something in mind that's a lot simpler. What can that be? A computerized, self-propelled orbiting space capsule in which the occupant goes into hibernation for approximately 1,000 years. And you mean I could be the one who tries it? You're practically shaking with excitement or fear. You can't be sure which. Normally, Dr. Grambling continues, an astronaut would be selected for this project, but the hibernation technique works only on people who aren't fully grown. I've recommended you for it because you're the right age, because you're intelligent, because you're resourceful, because you're courageous, and because you love adventure. Is she supposed to be plump? Her face looks kind of plump. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. And here we are. I assume that's us on the left, and that's Dr. Grambling. I'm sure we don't have to ask our parents' permission. We're just like, yeah, I'll do it, sure. Who's plump? This person on the right, Rob, this Irene Grambling. She's a scientist that asks if you want to go to the year 3000. Oh, and hello, yes. We are very special, yes. Turn to page 2. It sounds like more than an ordinary adventure, you say. It sounds like a super adventure. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I think it will be, Dr. Grambling agrees. But how will I get back to the present? Good question. When you asked about time machines, I said they wouldn't be invented for several hundred years. Well, by the year 3000, they should be pretty well perfected. And I can't absolutely promise you, but if all goes well, you'll be able to get back to the present, and no one even will have missed you. To everyone else, it will seem as if you've never been away. You take a few minutes to think over Dr. Grambling's offer. She has your number all right. You do love adventure, and this one looks too good to miss. You know, the non-plump person is supposed to be plump. Yes, Rob, we are super. Oh, you worked on a time travel poem today? Page 153. Wow, there's so many more pages. They want us to know that right away. My number, Dr. Grambling. It is 867. I got it for a good time. All right. All right, stop. Wait a minute. That was fast. What happened? Your head feels as if it's stuffed with wet cotton. You've never felt so stiff. What is that music waking you up? It's a march. The stars and stripes forever. Where are you? The dim light around you is getting brighter. You practically have to peel back your eyelids. They're so filled with sleep. What's this needle stuck in your arm, you wonder? You yank it out. A robot arm slaps a Band-Aid on the spot. Wait, so you say, yeah, maybe that would be a good idea, and like she already has you sent to the year 3000? Oh, that's nice. Didn't waste any time on that one. Page 155. You half sit up in your tiny cot. Wow, you're beginning to remember. Dr. Grambling's proposition, the spaceflight training, the briefings at the rocket base, the lessons in operating the computer, and most of all, the spooky feeling you had when they closed the capsule lid, locking you inside for over 1,000 years. Then the liftoff, the deepening blackness of the space, the Earth, a blue-white ball, North Africa showing between the clouds, shrinking into a tiny crescent suspended in space, and finally sleep as your capsule settled into orbit halfway between Earth and Mars. That's a sweet future suit we're wearing, yeah. That illustration kind of looks familiar, that suit. I don't know why. I bet it's rainbowish like Wesley Crusher. Well, it's because we're so intelligent. All super intelligent people get to wear those suits. Let's a closer look at the suit. Go on to the next page. So Dr. Grambling propositioned us, I see. On to the next page. You bolt out of your cot. It must be the year 3000. A faint hum fills your space capsule, which, like the inside of a hollowed-out egg, has no particular roof or walls or floor. Good morning, a cheery voice greets you. Welcome to the year 3000, January 14th, Earth date to be exact. In case you forgot, I'm Winston, your onboard computer, and I'll be serving you until we make a safe landing. First of all, I'm happy to report that you came through hibernation in perfect shape. Secondly, all my functions are working perfectly, as are your space capsule's guidance and propulsion systems. The flowery language seems more like R.A. Montgomery, but Packard can do it all. Yes, he can. Packard even wrote us a little letter in the beginning to let us know that this was a super adventure, and he hopes that we like it. So far, it seems good. You're now wide awake and getting really excited. And what a relief to get Winston's report that everything's working perfectly, including you. Thanks, Winston, you say, after sipping some rehydrated orange juice through a plastic tube. You glance through the window at the stars. Some of the constellations have changed their shape a little over the past 1,000 years, but they're the same friendly stars you remember, except for one that is far brighter than the others, and a fainter one beside it. You guess they are not stars at all, but the Earth and the Moon. Set us on a course to Earth, Winston, you say, confidently, and land in the best place possible. You expect to hear the capsule's small maneuvering rockets going into action instantly, but instead, all is quiet. Winston, you try to keep the nervousness out of your voice. Did you understand the command I just gave? Of course, the computer replies. I told you I was functioning perfectly. It's just that I'm programmed not to set course until I found the right place to land. Go on to the next page. Also, in the future, we suck pulp. Oh, yep. Yeah, we've just been flipping pages so far. No choices yet. Hopefully we're getting to a choice soon. Well, haven't you done that by now, you say, with some irritation? After all, you've had over 1,000 years. The problem, Winston interrupts, is that there is no right place to land. I'm sorry to tell you this, but Earth is entirely controlled by Styx Mori, the most ruthless, cruel tyrant in history. His agents are working everywhere, even on other planets. No matter where we land, it's almost certain you would be captured, tortured, and killed. Oh, that sounds great. Page 160. Yep, just flipping pages so far. Woo, page 160. Whoa. That's so many more pages than we flipped before. And that's because this is a super adventure, not a regular adventure. Styx, the evil father to Mr. Roboto. And then we have to, if we get rid of him, we still have to deal with Kilroy. Kilroy! You feel clammy and weak after you hear this news. Poor Earth! Poor you! Fighting back the panic that's clutching at your throat, you ask, is there any other place I can go? A planet? A space station? Mars may be a possibility. Some refugees from the democracy of Americas fled there a few hundred years ago, and their descendants may still be eking out a living on some desert oasis. But you must know Mars is a terribly cold, desolate place. What about Venus? Winston flashes the words, "Please wait," but in a moment he replies, "Hundreds of years ago, the World Federation blew off Venus's cloud cover with massive nuclear blasts in an effort to cool the planet, increase its spin rate, and make it habitable. But soon afterward, the Earth was racked by wars, and I can't find any data about what's happened since." What about the moon? Undeveloped, Winston answers. It wouldn't last 2 minutes. Any other ideas? On the next page. You stare at the speaker on Winston's console, desperately hoping he will find a solution to your problem. But the minutes and then the hours pass. The silence, the loneliness are more than you can bear. You must do something. Let's go to Mars. Why? I don't know why we'd want to go to Venus. I just watched Total Recall today, and they seem to be just fine on Mars. Yeah. Got a lot of nerve showing your face around here. Look who's talking. If you boys go to Jupiter to get more stupider, turn to page 57. Yeah, it doesn't even give us the option to go to Mars. I mean to go to Jupiter. But it has. But look what we have on the cover. Jupiter. Huh. And I think that's a couple of moons of Jupiter, maybe. If you tell Winston to take you to Mars, turn to page 3. If you tell Winston to take you to Venus, turn to page 15. If you tell Winston to take you to Earth, turn to page 8. If you decide to go back into hibernation for a few hundred years in hopes that things will be better then, turn to page 24. Right, because trying to avoid stuff always works in these books. Or, well, trying to avoid things that you don't necessarily need to avoid. If we hibernate, Styx will be, it'll be like his son, really. Winston, I'm your Venus. Venus, oh Venus. Yeah, so those are our options. We can go to Mars, we can go to Venus, we can go to Earth, or we can just go back to sleep. Mars. So Valerie thinks we should go to Mars. Get your ass to Mars. Sue also says Mars. You just said get your ass to Mars. Get your ass to Mars. When you hear the crunch, you're there. Mars. Rob also says Mars. I think we're going to Mars. We're going to Mars to meet the free peoples of the Americas or something like that. And Caroline's also from Mars. 2 small rocket bursts are all it takes to flip your capsule out of sun orbit and send it streaking towards Mars. For the next 2 days, you wriggle and squirm and stretch, feeling like a butterfly still locked in its cocoon. Through the window, you watch a bright red star grow increasingly brighter till it becomes a disk that expands in size as your capsule approaches it. Suddenly, you're pressed against the wall. The capsule is decelerating rapidly. "Entering Mars orbit," Winston announces. You look down eagerly at the great craters, escarpments, and canyons, and vast stretches of flat, rocky desert. There's no sign of life. The scene is more desolate than space itself. Then, as your capsule enters the planet's shadow, you are plunged into darkness. The cold, forbidding surface of Mars is invisible. There are no lights, only utter blackness. "Maybe we should leave here and try to land on Earth, Winston." "Impossible," the computer replies at once. "There's not enough fuel." Turn to page 6. This will sound good. An hour later, you enter the daylight zone once again. This time, your orbit is taking you closer to the planet's equator. You close your eyes and imagine that when you open them, you'll see a lake or a meadow. Maybe Winston can find something with his high-resolution optical scanners. Another hour passes. Then, like a black veil drawn across your face, darkness descends again. You bury your head in your arms. More from depression than fatigue, you soon fall asleep. The sun, still brilliant, though noticeably smaller than the sun you're used to seeing on Earth, shines in your eyes as the capsule once again enters the daylight zone. And again, you look down at barren, desolate landscape. Turn to page 12. Stuck on Mars, yep. Yeah, we are a mess. Yeah, we'll find picked over bones of our ancestors. There's not much to eat on Mars, so gotta eat something. "Emergency," Winston suddenly announces. "We must land immediately. There's an 87% probability that my main feeder circuitry will fail in 23 minutes and 14 seconds. I found 2 possible landing sites. One of them is an extremely deep canyon at 20 degrees south latitude. I register an unusually high oxygen and moisture reading there. The other site is on the Sagan Plateau, where my sensors have spotted what may be a bubble dome erected by intelligent creatures. It's so open and visible, I must conclude it's a commando base of the tyrant Styx Mori." "Should we look for better places, Winston?" you ask. "We don't have time." Winston's speech has speeded up. "We can land at either of the sites if you select one within the 37 seconds. At that moment, a digital display flashes. Seconds remaining. 36. 35. 34. You've got to decide now. If you decide to take a chance the feeder circuit won't fail, and order Winston to look for a better place, turn to page 7. If you order Winston to land near the bubble dome, turn to page 9. If you order him to land in the canyon, turn to page 14. Yeah, Sagan Plateau is next to DeGrasse Tyson Caverns. Is there really like a Sagan Plateau on Mars already? Or is that they named a plateau for him in the future? I wonder. So Rob says Deep Canyon. Oh, are you just saying Deep Canyon? So where is the bubble? It's on the Sagan Plateau. But that could be where there's a commando base. So that might be dangerous. Although the Deep Canyon does have a lot of oxygen and moisture. So that might be good. The Valley would say canyon. Rob also says canyon, and Sue also says canyon. Sounds like we're doing the canyon. Let's go to the canyon. The capsule instantly drops out of orbit. In the thin atmosphere and light gravity of Mars, heat shields aren't necessary. I don't know about that. I think you do still need a heat shield, but... Right. The descent is so swift that you have no time to study the landscape rushing towards you. All you notice is a vast plateau strewn with red boulders, and a great canyon so deep that the bottom is shrouded in darkness. In a few minutes, you're floating between the canyon walls. The capsule shifts course as the canyon bends, so that now the sun is shining directly on the canyon floor. On Earth, you probably see that the river cut the canyon walls over millions of years, but here on Mars, that work was completed eons ago. The canyon floor is nothing but dry red sand and rock. Winston cuts all power except for the minimal thrust landing rockets, which fire with amazing precision, sending you down gently. But instead of looking out the porthole, you fasten your eyes on the numbers changing on Winston's display screen. Seconds remaining to feeder circuit failure: 15, 14, 13. Hoping against hope is not enough. Within the minute, you know the worst has happened. Winston is dead. There is no way you can get airborne without him. You saw no signs of life as you came in for a landing. Your food supply looks as if it will only last a couple of weeks. And now that you're out of hibernation, you're using oxygen at a tremendously increased rate. Without Winston, you have no way of knowing how long it will last. On to page 144. What was all that stuff Winston said earlier about everything working perfectly? It's like everything works perfectly until it is no longer working perfectly. Page 144. Whoa. All right. Yeah, this is pretty terrible. Cautiously, you turn the latch handles on the escape hatch and open the door a crack. Instantly, it blows open, sweeping you outside in a rush of air. Your ears pop. You gasp for breath. You find yourself sitting on the hard, rusty-colored sand. You're afraid you're going to suffocate in the thin Martian air, but soon you feel better. There's enough air here to breathe. Winston knew what he was doing. You're in an oxygen-rich pocket, far below the average elevation of the Martian surface. If you can survive a few days, your body will become used to the thin air, as is the case on Earth with travelers to high altitudes. I don't think that's how it would work on Mars, but okay. You look around the dry, lifeless landscape. There's not a tree or cactus or bit of sagebrush in sight. No birds, not even an ant or a fly. But your heart leaps as you notice an opening in the side of the canyon wall. The top of the opening is an almost perfect arch, surely carved by intelligent creatures, perhaps by the human refugees from Earth that Winston told you about. You return to the capsule and take the lantern from your survival kit. Though you're still having some trouble breathing, you feel light as a bird. You weigh about a third of what you would on Earth. Go on to the next page. Else we're just going to bust in. That's totally how it would work? And the air would be pretty thin, but also the air pressure would be very thin. Go on to the next page. With your lantern strapped onto your head like a coal miner's lamp, you step through the opening, which leads to an area about the size of a large room. Along one wall, you find a narrow tunnel. You'd like to see where it leads, but it tips down so steeply, you're afraid that you'll lose your footing and slip. If you take a chance on going down into the tunnel, turn to page 25. If you decide to go back outside and explore along the canyon floor, turn to page 44. Yeah, so we can either go down into the steep tunnel, or say, oh no, it's too risky, and go back outside again. So Valerie says we should go down the tunnel. Go down the tunnel, okay. And Rob also says go to the tunnel, and Caroline also go into the tunnel. Alright, we are going to go into the tunnel. Oh, and Sue also tunnel. It's unanimous. 25. As you carefully make your way down the steep slope of the tunnel, you are astounded to see that it ends in a descending staircase. The stone steps are square and level. You feel sure they were shaped by human hands. As best as you can tell in the dim light, the distance between steps increases, beginning a few steps farther down. To descend farther, you'll have to jump down from step to step. You wonder whether you could ever get back up again. If you start jumping down from step to step, turn to page 33. If you turn back, turn to page 76. Why does it keep giving us chances to go back up again? I don't get it. Yeah, so those are our choices, to either keep going down the steps or to turn back. Yeah, that good democratic American step building never fails. Why do we think the Martians wouldn't be skilled? I don't know. Because maybe we think the Martians would not make steps that humans use. So Caroline says we should keep going. And Rob says, jump, jump, everybody jump. Jump, jump. All right. Anyone think we should turn back? Anyone? Anyone? All right, I think we're going to keep going. Keep going, page 33. Last chance to turn back. You jump down. Suddenly, your footing gives way. You slide in a cascade of crumbling rocks all the way to the bottom of the steps. You pick yourself up and look around. You've landed on the floor of a subterranean cavern. When you look back, you see you'd have to jump at least 7 feet to get back to where you were. A sound like nothing you've ever heard echoes against the cavern walls. A smooth white object, it looks like a giant clam, rises out of the rubble around you. Smack! Its hinged shells close like snapping jaws on a large rock. Smack! It strikes again. You shrink back. Whatever this creature is, doesn't come from Earth. Whereas all life on Earth is based on carbon, this rock monster must be made of silicon. Yeah, it must be. Obviously. But there's no time to think. It twists towards you. It thinks you're a rock, and its giant shells are about to close on your body. You look up at the bottom step, 7 feet above you. Can you jump that high? If you don't make it, you'll fall back into the rock monster's waiting jaws. If you try to jump to the step above, turn to page 49. If you run into the cavern, turn to page 148. Yeah, we can tell just by looking at it that it's obviously. We can tell that it's obviously made of silicon. Just like we knew we could breathe in the thin Martian air, no problem. No, we knew that we'd acclimate to it, just like people at high altitudes. No sweat. So Caroline says we should jump. Valerie says we should jump. Jump. It's up to you, Rob. Should we jump? Jump. Sue, and also Sue. Alright, well, jump. Jumo. Or jump. Okay. Turn to the, we'll jump. Yeah, I think we have to jump. Jump. Jump in. Alright. You leap up and grab the ledge formed by the step above and pull yourself up. It was easy. You almost forgotten that although Mars is a cold, barren, oxygen-deprived planet, there is one thing about it that gives you a big advantage. Like gravity. You can jump 7 feet with ease and even clear an 8 or 9 foot high bar and land as lightly and gracefully as a cat. Climbing swiftly, you reach the rock monster. You leave the rock monster behind, and soon reach the main cavern. Turn to page 73. As you proceed through the cavern towards the pink-tinted light at the opening, you take a moment to explore along the rock wall. The air smells humid here. You feel the rock with your hand. It's damp. There's a sort of alcove in the rocks, and at its base is a depression. You rip the lantern off your head and shine it into the space. It's the entrance to an inner cave. You step through and gasp at what you see. A pool, perhaps 40 feet across, fed by a trickle of water flowing from the interior wall. 8,000 feet below the floor of the high desert plateau, water, formed in an ancient age, has been trapped. You know that the surface of Mars is virtually without water. In the thin, dry air, the rate of evaporation is tremendous. But down here, in this cavern, the air pressure is higher than at the surface of the planet, and the cave within the cavern protects the precious cachet of water from evaporation. To say you are excited is an understatement. Water on Mars! You lean over the pond and taste it, fresh and pure as water from a mountain stream. Give these people air. Oh no, we're feeling an organism. Yeah, probably. Is that cachet or cash? Is it cash? Might just be cash. I forget. Turn to page. Hey, it's true. We learn so much science from these books. We learn about how there's no water on the surface of Mars, that the air is thin. Turn to page 79. Yeah, I'm sorry we couldn't be friends with that clam. That's too bad. Maybe that clam could have been our friend. Where there's water, there may be life. You explore the floor of the cave, looking for clues. Suddenly, a noise coming from the entrance, a hoarse breathing sound, makes you freeze. Before you can react, a hulking shape, a quadruped, built like a rhino and almost as big, waddles into the cave. The beast is covered with a thick, knobby hide. Its eyes are located at the ends of trunks that extend like two flexible horns from its head, the rest of which is nothing but monstrous jaws. It has no nose, but breathes heavily through its jaws, rhythmically exposing a double line of sharp, silvery teeth. You watch the beast lumber to the water's edge and drink eagerly from the pool, just as you did. There's no doubt in your mind that this creature is a carnivore, and you know you're made of meat. That's true. We are made of meat. One good thing, it has practically no legs. It must be pretty slow moving. You're sure you can outrun it. If you run for the entrance, turn to page 88. If you stay absolutely still, turn to page 98. Yes, it's pretty plump and it waddles, so most likely it's waddle. Most likely it's waddle. Most likely it's plump. Waddles, yeah, right. Waddles, Rob. Waddles. It's kind of plump. Yeah, so we can either run for the entrance or stand absolutely still. Stay still, befriend the creature. It's Caroline. Could do that. Valerie agrees. Stay still. Maybe it can't. Maybe it can only sense movement, and it might be faster than we think. Let's be friends. So we're gonna stay still. See what happens. You stand motionless, hoping the hulking creature won't see you. The beast drinks, then waves its eye trunks. They train directly at you. It bends over and drinks again. Apparently, it didn't classify you as a possible source of food. It looks up again, this time pointing its eyes towards the entrance. Another of the hulks has arrived. The second one waddles over to the pond and begins to drink. Then, you watch in amazement as they lumber over to a far wall and tuck in their heads and eye trunks so as to look like a couple of large boulders. Okay. Turn to page 107. Slowly you work your way towards the entrance. Before you've taken more than a few cautious steps, the water surface breaks. 2, then 3, 4, almost a dozen small sea-like creatures press their flippers against the side of the pool. They peer anxiously around, then, one by one, scramble across the floor of the cave to a wall between you and the hulks. Rearing up on their hind flippers, they gnaw at the stalactites that have formed on the roof of the cave. What a curious food, you think, especially for an animal that looks as if it should be eating fish. Suddenly, the hulks uncoil, their eye trunks fixed on the seals, their jaws opening wide as they lumber clumsily towards the feeding animals. Instantly, the seals begin scrambling back into the water. They aren't fast, but neither are the hulks. It looks as if the seals will make it, except for one little seal that seems to have a lame flipper. It isn't going to make it back to the pool. There's a rock nearby. You have a strong urge to hurl it at the hulk closest to the baby seal. If you throw the rock, turn to page 90. If you decide not to interfere, turn to page 124. And here we are on the left, looking at these seals. And there's these hulking creatures with the weird-looking eye stalks. Yeah, it's pretty. Oh my god, dude! Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So Valerie thinks we should interfere. Does anyone else think we should interfere? Or should we just let nature take its course? To be like, oh, it's part of the circle of life. Gotta let lumbering rock creatures do what lumbering rock creatures do. Can't interfere with the. Yeah, Rob says we should interfere. Pretty sure we should interfere, right? Yeah, let's do it. All right, so we're gonna throw the rock. Here goes nothing. Come on, Edward Packard, don't fail us here. You hurl the rock and hit the hulk between the eyes. It topples backward, bellowing, onto the other hulk. The little seal flops safely into the water. Other seals are watching. 2 of them swim towards you, barking as if to thank you. Another places its flippers over the edge of the pool. It seems to want to touch you. You'd like to play with the seals, but now both hulks are lumbering around the edge of the pool, and there's no doubt they're headed for you. You race for the entrance. You're about 3 steps away when you stop in your tracks. Another hulk is coming into the cave. There's a rock near your feet. Maybe you can knock the beast out of the way, but one of the 2 hulks chasing you is so close, it may get you before you can throw the rock. In the split second of time, you consider the only other option, to dive into the pool. If you grab the rock and fight the hulks, turn to page 146. If you dive into the pool, turn to page 100. So Valerie thinks we should dive in. I remember there was a story where it was the future and Wolverine had to fight multiple Hulks or something. Or maybe it wasn't the future. Maybe like he was in the future and time traveled to the past or something, but it didn't go well. Fighting lots of Hulks. So Valerie says we should dive in. Does anyone else think we should dive in, or does anyone think we should grab the rock and fight the Hulks? Caroline says we should dive in and be one with the seals. Be careful, seals. Stay safe. Dive. Alright, we're diving. Dive into the pool. The situation seems hopeless, but you don't have time to think about that. You sidestep the oncoming Hulk and, with a twisting motion, arms outstretched, dive into the pool. In an instant, you're surrounded by the friendly seals. The hulks hover at the edge, snapping their huge jaws, but they dare not enter. In their own element, the seals are masters. But that does you little good. You can't tread water forever, and the hulks show no sign of leaving. One of the seals tugs at your clothes, then starts to dive and pull you along. Another does the same. Are they trying to drown you? They seem so friendly and intelligent. Then you understand. They want you to dive. How could they help you that way? Maybe they don't understand that you can't breathe underwater. Then something occurs to you. These seals, so much like ones on Earth, don't breathe underwater either. They came from somewhere that's open to the air. There's nothing to lose. You take a deep breath and dive. The seals dive with you, nudging you along. They are guiding you through an underwater tunnel, but you have no idea how long the tunnel is, and your breath is soon running out. You can't last much longer. If you turn back, turn to page 147. If you swim on, turn to page 104. Drown with the seals. That's fine. So Rob says thinks we should swim on. Valerie's next to a little seal right now. Little baby seal. Is that a lame Flipper? Oh no, its Flipper's okay. I just thought its Flipper was tucked in. I wasn't sure. So Rob says swim on. Valerie says drown with the seals. Caroline says keep going. Alright, so we're gonna use a closer look at us swimming with the seals. Alright, and so we're gonna keep going. Swim on, page 104. Though your lungs are straining to the utmost, you swim as smoothly and swiftly as you can, following the seals through the tunnel. Why is it so long, you wonder? You wish you could turn back, but you can't now. You'd never make it. You fight the urge to breathe underwater. Your lungs are bursting. Then the tunnel ends abruptly, and you shoot up to the surface, gasping for air. You're almost too exhausted to swim, but the friendly seals buoy you up. All you have to do is relax as they nudge you steadily towards the shore. In a few moments, your feet touch bottom. You pat and stroke the nearest seals by way of thanking them, and gratefully step out onto a smooth, sandy beach. Looking around, you see that you surfaced in a lake that's at least a mile long. The lake and its surroundings are in a vast cavern. It takes you a moment to see where the light is coming from. High on the walls of the canyon, perhaps 100 feet or more above the ground, are evenly spaced lamps, each of which looks like a full moon on Earth. By this light you can see the rolling floor of the cavern. Little cottages and long, low buildings are scattered about. One might mistake this scene for some part of the Sahara, but there are no trees, nor even grass. These seals are the best, yes. Go on to the next page. You found intelligent life on Mars, no doubt of that. But who lives here? Are they refugees from Earth? Persons who fled here to escape the tyranny of Styx Mori? Or are they Martians who, finding their planet drying up, their atmosphere becoming as thin as the air that blows across the highest mountaintops of Earth, were forced to build a civilization far underground where sufficient water and oxygen remained? On to page 116. Who are you? A man's voice interrupts your thoughts. You whirl and confront a short, solidly built man, dressed in crudely fashioned blue pants and shirt. His thick hair and beard form a gray wreath around his ruddy, weathered face. Where did you come from? He asks, before you can answer. It's quite a long story. Well, come with me then, he says in a polite though guarded tone. There are many here in Caverna who will want to talk to you. Offering your hand, he says, My name is Tibor, by the way. Turn to page 118. Tibor leads you to his simple stone cottage, where you meet his wife, Tan, and his brother, Andrus. You learn that they are indeed descendants of refugees from Earth who discovered this great cavern and settled here hundreds of years ago. A small fusion reactor powers the lamps that line the cavern walls and provide its only light. The 97 people who live here survive by growing vegetables hydroponically in tanks. Their only other food are fish from the lake and edible crystals found in the stalactites. The government at Caverna is tribal. The chief, called Saruma, is the sole ruler, though even he is bound by law and custom. I guess Saruma will want to meet me, you say. Indeed he will, Tibor replies. But if he does, he will see to it that you don't leave Caverna for the rest of your life. He is afraid that if anyone leaves, he or she will reveal our secret location to the Earth Tyrant, Styx Mori. We don't mind staying here, it is our home, but for you, it may seem like a prison. How can I reach the surface of Mars, you ask? We can't show you the way, Tibor says. If we were caught helping you escape, we would be imprisoned. But I will tell you how to do it. It is a difficult journey. If you safely reach the surface, you may be able to team up with some other Earth people who have a settlement on the surface not far from where you exit. But I must warn you, it's easier to stay alive in Antarctica than on the surface of Mars. If you decide to meet the chief, Saruma, turn to page 93. If you decide to try to escape to the surface, turn to page 125. Yeah, it must be from Earth since Caverna is the lamest city name ever. Yeah. Caverna, yeah, that's kind of weak. Oh yeah, edibles on Mars. So Valerie thinks we should stay there forever, and I guess talk to the chief, Saruma. Does anyone else want to stay there forever? Does anyone else want to live forever and learn how to fly? Sue says we should stay. Valerie thinks we should stay. Sue thinks we should stay. Does anyone think we should try to escape? Oh, Caroline says we should stay. Alright, well, I think we are going to stay. Meet the chief. I love our Martian prison chief. Let's stay, says Rob. Page 93. Saruma, a frail elderly man, receives you at his house, the largest in Caverna. It's set on a high bluff overlooking the lake. He listens attentively to your story, but when you ask for his permission to journey to the surface, he silences you with a sweeping motion of his hand. We are safe here in Caverna, only because the Earth Tyrant does not know we exist. Styx Mori thinks Mars is a desolate, almost uninhabitable planet. That, my young friend, is the only reason he leaves us alone. If I were to let you go up to the surface, you might meet up with his commandos, or even find your way back to Earth. Then he would find out that there is another little village left to conquer. But I would keep it a secret, you insist. Saruma shakes his head. I want to trust you, my young friend. But Styx Mori has ways of making people talk. Ways you would not even want to hear about. I'm sorry, but you must stay here for the rest of your life. To make sure that neither you nor anyone else ever escapes, I shall seal the only entrance to Caverna at once. Alright, he does look like a frail elderly man. Yes. Turn to page 135. Alright. Saruma arranges for you to live with Tibor and his family. You love working by the lake and helping to train the seals to bring fish to shore, and soon you know many of these intelligent and friendly animals by name. You consider them along with many people in Caverna, to be your good friends. Life is not bad, and there's plenty of time for play, but you miss the sun, the trees, and the grass, and you miss Earth. Someday, you vow, you'll find a way to return home. The end. That doesn't seem so bad. I mean, get to stay in Caverna, get to eat plenty of fish. I mean, I like fish. Fish is not so bad. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of adventures we can have with this book. But, maybe we should stop here. Yeah, so I think that ending, you're right, Rob. That ending is pretty super. We got to hang out with the, let's say, let's recount our adventures here. We got to hang out with the seals. We got to meet those lumbering rock creatures. They were pretty cool, even though they were going to try to eat us. Yeah, we met the people of Caverna. I don't know if we might want to read this again sometime and try to stop Styx Mori, maybe. There's just like so much more we could do with this book. But, yeah, I might actually read this again sometime. And maybe do like the Styx Mori stuff. If anyone think that's a good idea, I don't know. Usually I wouldn't reread a book, but there's just like so much more adventure to be had here. But I mean, not next week. Remember to go back to that. But yeah, I think we'll stop here. Hope you all enjoyed this super adventure. Actually, we have one other super adventure lined up. Maybe we can read that next week. It's called Danger Zone. Is that it? Oh no, sorry, Danger Zones, multiple. Many danger zones. But oh yeah, oh, you're welcome, Sue. Thanks for joining in. But yeah. But yeah, I'll stop here. Are you down for more Styx adventures, Rob? That's cool. In the future, yes. Well, it's gonna get it. Yeah, it's gonna be. I get it. It's gonna be in the future. But yeah, we didn't even go to Earth or do any Styx stuff. So we definitely stayed safe. You know, we played it safe. We stayed safe. We didn't get killed. So, you're welcome, Caroline. Yeah, but yeah, I'll go back to this. We'll go back to this at some point. Maybe a few weeks or something. And see if you want to make some different choices. So yeah, well, I thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you. Hopefully, see you all next Tuesday. So have a good week and have a good night. Take care.